So this video is about how to count atoms. It's really just the convention of how you count an atom. So if you have, let's say, if you have two oxygen connected to a carbon, like this, two oxygen connected to one carbon, you would write CO2. So the little subscript, the little number 2 here, describe how many atom is right in front of it. So CO2 means there's two oxygen, one carbon. If they say P2O4, that means that 2P to 4O, 2P and 4O. So it's directly in front of it, whichever directly in front of it. Now, if there is a parenthesis, so for example, if there's NaOH, I'm sorry, that's a bad example. Okay, let's try Ca. How about CaOH2? Now, in this case, because there is a parenthesis, this number 2 here means that whichever in the parenthesis in front of it, of that numbers, is the number of the atoms that follow. So there's 2 atoms of oxygen, 2 atoms of hydrogen. That's it. And since there's nothing stating here, that means it's 1 atom of calcium. So if they don't say anything, it implies that there's one atom of calcium. Okay, good. Now, another thing that really confused students is, well, what happens if you have a number in front of the whole thing? So let's say if you have 2CO2, well, how many atoms is that? Well, 2CO2, what it means is that you have 2 of this whole CO2. So you would have 1 CO2 as I draw here, and then another CO2. So you have 2 CO2. So the 2 in front, I probably should have used a different color. The 2 in front here imply that there's 2 of the whole thing. So the 2 behind, so the difference between the 2 in front and the 2 behind is that the 2 behind implies that the atoms are sticking together. So this 2 behind the O, meaning that the 2O and the C are sticking together, they're bonding with each other. The 2 in front mean that they're not, they separate. There's 2 groups. There's a CO2 group, then there's another CO2 group. They separate. But so 2 CO2 mean that there are 2 group. So that means there's 2 carbon, there's 2 times 2 oxygen. So let me say 2 carbon, 2 times 2 is 4 oxygen. And yeah, you can count it. 1, 2, 3, 4 oxygen. Okay? Now, what if instead of write 2 CO2, I just say, okay, there's 2 carbon, 4 oxygen. Can I just write C2O4? Would this be okay? There's 2C4O, C2O4. Well, if you write it like this, it is incorrect. This is incorrect. Why? Because C2O4 would means that you have 1C, 2C, 4 oxygen all stick together into this big giant ball of molecule. It doesn't mean that you have one set of CO2, one group of CO2 like so, and then another group of CO2 like so. C2O4 means they all stick together. Just like P2O4, that means they all stick together. Okay?